Hello and welcome to ABW Live. It's the Bournemouth game. How are we all? It's our 300th live episode. What was the radio show and is now the live show. And unfortunately, for the second time this season, we have bad news. We announced it on Twitter yesterday. Our very own Dave Faber, Goonerholic, passed away at 1:30 in the morning, Christmas morning. Dave was an Arsenal man, a cricket man, and a music man. He was somebody who was full of integrity, dignity. His compassion and caring side of him was legendary to all. His empathy and knowledge was an example to us all. He was a friend to us all, although he was a member of a Bergkamp Wonderland. We were ever so proud to have him as a member of ABW. First and foremost, he was an Arsenal man, and he belonged to all Arsenal fans. We've seen hundreds of messages yesterday from American Gooners who just spoke to him saying, they're coming over for a game. He'd meet them, have a beer with them, and become lifelong friends with them. Whether you'd been a Gooner for 50 years and had been to every game, home and away, or you just started supporting the club, Dave had time for you. He was that type of guy. He was a man of the people. He was Arsenal through and through. He was proper Arsenal, as the guys say. I remember when I first met him with the Jeff. I just looked, it's like, we're having a beer with Goonerholic. It was epic. Later on that day, it was me and Kris wasn't drinking. And we sat there, we're talking to Dave, and we were like little schoolboys, in awe of the man. He was that Arsenal legend, everybody knew him. Didn't matter who they were, they all knew Dave. And he was a mate to everyone. He really was. He was just such a great guy. He was a calming influence. He had a kind heart. He belonged to Arsenal, not to us. And as much as we love him, he belonged to the Arsenal. And there's so many guys, Dave Seeger, you had the lovely Vic, the lovely Lucy Gooner. These people, Dave, Berry, Gav, they've all known him for years and years. And he's a massive loss to everyone. I don't mind you telling you, been a lot of tears spilt over this. He was somebody who we saw the deterioration in his health over the last few months, and it was shocking and staggering. And unfortunately, it's come to an end now. We're going to miss him. We're devastated. We are heartbroken, and we love him. Goonerholic is irreplaceable, and every single player and person in this Arsenal squad is not fit to clean his shoes. Not fit to clean his shoes. This guy is up there with the greats, and unfortunately, he's left a void now, which we'll never be able to fill. We'll never, ever be able to fill. So, our love to you, Dave. Sleep well, my friend. Onwards and upwards. We will be doing a special down the line. We need, just give us a bit of time in it. We need to get over it as well. So, on with the show. Mikel Arteta's first game. It's Bournemouth away, and welcome to the show. First of all, he's my brother from another mother. It's John Welsh. Say hello, John.
Hello, John. I'm not going to ask how you're doing, mate, because, we all know, but love the words.
Thank you, mate. Stephen Edwards has smashed in with a donation, and he says, Dave and Steve. I don't know what I say, Dave and Steve, but I like it. Yes, sorry, Dave and Steve. Yeah, sorry. Bit of a mess today. And alongside us again, then we have the dirty pirate, the one and only. It's the Carpenter. Budget Jesus, say hello, my lovely boy.
Hey, Jace. How you doing? Yeah, lovely words, as John said there, and yeah, nice to be podding with John and yourself again. And sad times, but we'll try and talk about the game today, and find the positives.
That's what David wants us to do. That's the thing. Right, let's go to the chat box before we kick off, guys. Tom Douglas, Grant Wilborn, Julian Salmon, Rudy Rastlos, Nicky Wilson, Shafiq One, Danny the GFP, Rocket Works, Chris Hopkins, Useless Pathetic Noob, 95 Winston, Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, who has Richard Morris, John Bernstein. They're all in there. Stefan Selby, the one for Stefan Selby, Archie, Corey Searless. Hi guys, how are we all? We're going to try to get through this. The McManus is there, and he says he was a legend, and you are correct. The McManus, he was a legend. He always will be. He always will be. Right, guys, let's get on with it. John, to you first. Lineups: Laka back in, Ozil in, no room for Pepe. What were your thoughts, mate?
I wasn't overly surprised by the lineup. I think, considering some of the injuries you've got, obviously everyone knows we've got problems at the back. We've got some suspensions. The only one surprise really was the Pepe one. I guess maybe it shouldn't be a surprise now because Emery didn't seem to favour him too much. Freddie, I know he's obviously there only for a couple of games, and he didn't seem too keen to start him in games. He went with Nelson, which, fair enough, some people have been calling to see him. I think the other thing you have to equate into this is, Arteta's had, 2 training sessions, if that, really, with the team. And we've got a lot of games in this Christmas period. So you are going to have some rotation. So, yeah, I was pretty happy with the lineup. Obviously, I know everyone would have liked to see Martinelli, but I think he was recovering from, tight hamstring or something?
Yeah, tight hamstring, yeah.
Otherwise, I think he probably would have been the one in getting nod ahead of Nelson. But it makes sense. He picked the most experienced players he could in terms of those who played Premier League minutes and stuff, and Pepe being the only sort of outlier. But he picked the more experienced pros for his first game. So good picks for me.
Yeah, Kris, we started off quite well, didn't we? It was a typical kind of Premier League game. You had Aubameyang flat-footed at a Saka cross, Leno saving from Fraser, Lacazette losing the ball after some good work from Ozil. You could see a change in our game style already, couldn't you?
Yeah, just more organised, it seemed to me, and there was a clear attacking intention from the off. I mean, okay, a lot of things didn't work out, but there was evidence that the players were sticking to a formation. Mesut had one of those games away from home, I might add, where he was in that sort of 10 role where he wants to be. He was picking the ball up, he was getting on the ball. I think some of that was down to Bournemouth allowing him probably more space than they should have. But yeah, you could clearly see that Mikel's plan is going to be get the fullbacks high, the midfield 2 to just do the midfield 2 job, not too much else, and then have that sort of free flowing triangle up front, the 10 and the 3 forwards. So it did appear that there was a bit of an identity already, or certainly an image in the team already. Like you both said, I think really all it come down to was just finishing and the final ball. It's almost like the players had a lot of the players who got in behind had almost forgotten what it was like to play the way we can. Lots of sort of shanked crosses and misplaced passes and mistimed passes, but that'll come. That's not going to happen overnight.
I think that's a really good point. John, I want you to expand on this. I thought Ozil was excellent first half. Okay, yes, he was allowed time and space, but he really drove us forward. Saka, Aubameyang, and this has been quite harsh on Saka as well, because I thought Saka had a great game, okay? Nelson, Auba and Laka had a really tough time. it was almost as if they had to try to get to know each other again. And it was a real struggle for them, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think what you saw today was some players who still haven't got the confidence or belief in their ability, which is something that will have to come back. You look at Lacazette, it's a guy who hasn't really played that much the last few games, has been dropped a lot. He looks, he's looked kind of despondent on the bench at times and is clearly frustrated with his lack of playing time. He looked a little bit off the match sharpness, which is going to come. Obviously, we're not playing that much football. Alba's been moved back out wide again. I thought Saka did okay, but the pace of play was better. Ozil was much better today. Every time he got the ball, he wasn't just taking the ball and then passing it straight back and playing the way he was facing. He was always receiving it on the half turn and then looking into space. And although Saka's final ball or Nelson, or Aubameyang's touch, or whether it be Lacazette, whoever, wasn't always the best, the moment he took the ball and turned and sort of did that half turn and immediately released it, we were into, getting into Bournemouth's box. Like Kris said, I think Bournemouth are a little bit guilty of maybe stepping off him and giving them a little bit too much room. But that's what you can do. And you could see throughout the game, he kept trying to find those pockets of space and he was making himself a lot more available than he had been in previous games. So I thought Ozil was a lot better today. A little bit disappointing from the forwards. I don't think you can really knock Nelson too much. He's a young kid who really hasn't played this much this season. Saka was playing left back for large parts of the game, not all of it. I think he did put in some really, really good balls that I think Aubameyang and Lacazette could have done better in anticipating where he was going to cross them. So yeah, a lot more positives today. And it's like what we said when Emery came in. It's the same thing. This is not going to be turned around instantly. It's going to be a long process. But just from that game today, you could see there was much more of an identity and an idea of a way of playing than we've seen for the last year of watching Arsenal.
Agreed. Kris, the one thing I felt kind of Nelson didn't commit enough, as John has mentioned. There were a couple of good crosses that went in that Auba and Laka weren't on, and there were a few poor ones where the guys were there. Is this going to be a case of trial and error with the guys committing to their runs and not just make a quick movement as if to go for it, but actually committing to them to give the wide players a target to go for? Because as well as just delivering good balls in, these wide players need to get into the box as well, don't they?
Yeah, I think with Nelson, it's down to, he hasn't played a lot of games. He came back with quite a lot of hype, not unjustified, but maybe a little bit because he's homegrown. I think people expected a lot from him very quickly. And that again, that's going to take time. I think also it's a bit symptomatic of our wide players and fullbacks in general, in that they're almost a bit worried to commit too high up the pitch because they know how vulnerable we are going back the other way. So it's almost like they'll go so far and then think, "Oh, I don't want to go too high because I'm going to get caught out if I don't get back in." So there is a bit of a tendency to maybe not commit fully. But yeah, he struck. It was a performance that showed good and bad. I thought, well, not bad, but indifferent almost from Reece today. It's good to see him getting the starts and having the opportunities. But if I'm him, I'm probably looking at this and thinking I've got to take these opportunities when given them, because Pepe will come good. I think some of the leaving him out is to protect him a little bit at the moment, and I think introducing him in gradual bursts, what you'll get from Laka and from Aubameyang with Pepe, it's quite unpredictable. So I think you can't really make room for him as well as Ozil and Laka and Aubameyang. So I can kind of see why they played what I'd call a more not sensible, but a more cautious player in Nelson. He probably follows instructions a bit better. Pepe's a bit more of a flamboyant flair player. But I think he has to take his chances. And like John said, if Gabriel Martinelli was fit, I wonder if he had got that chance again today. But that's not to knock his work rate. He kept going. He kept showing. He didn't hide, which is a good sign. But yeah, if you're going to play that position, you've got to be that fourth, fifth man in the box on the end of crosses as well as delivering them yourself. Something that Saka's done really well when he's come into the team. So I think Reece needs to probably go up another level. But again, can't fault the guy. He hasn't really played all season until the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, this is a process now. And, you're going to find the players learning from Arteta learning from the players. And, this is going to develop. It was better today. I've got to be honest, I enjoyed the football more. One of the things, John, you could quite clearly hear Arteta on the sideline. We'd lost the ball at some point, and so you hear no help coming from him. He's a guy who wants to give these guys a lot of support and direction, isn't he? And this is why we're focusing. It's not so much an incident today, guys. We're focusing on what we felt the performance was like first half and second half. John, can you come in on that, please?
Yeah, I mean, he was very vocal from the sideline, and I know some people read a lot into it and really like it. Some people, it doesn't really affect him so much, but he was clearly giving them direction, and you could hear a lot of the time about him telling them when to press, when they're supposed to press together as a group. And you saw that today quite a few times when we were hunting in packs and winning the ball back, and we were winning it in nice areas as well, like high up the pitch. To do it for only a certain period of time and then drop off and fall back into shape. And he was clearly giving directions to players. And I think, like he said in his press conference, where he was saying, he has to understand the players first, what it is that they want, what they've been experiencing. Almost the way he said that they've all got a clean slate. It's not about what they've done in the past. This is a fresh start now. And he's just trying to teach them to play the way he wants them to play. And you could see that a lot in times today. I felt the balance looked so much better today. In the ways that, in particular in the midfield, we've seen Torreira and Xhaka play together and it's not worked so many times. And don't get me wrong, there were still errors in the game from both of them and from all the players on the pitch. That's more of a, he hasn't had a long time to coach, and obviously the confidence is very low. But overall, the balance was a lot better. And the key thing for me in that is that you saw Torreira didn't really move much further than from the back four. He really didn't shift that much. And Xhaka, although it was sort of put up as a 4-2-3-1, it wasn't really. It was like a 4-4-1, and then you had Ozil and Xhaka slightly, they weren't parallel, but playing off each other slightly. And it freed up Xhaka to do the passing that we know he can do. I thought he made some fantastic passes today. It gave Torreira the ability just to intercept and win the ball, and to double up on a player when Maitland-Niles would need help, or Saka, or whoever it may be, and break the ball up. And then there was always an easy pass for him. Like we saw the training video about them when they were doing the rondons and saying, don't do flicks and tricks. No, you don't do that in a game. Just pass to the man. I want you to be able to have, there's got to be two options. There was a lot more, it's very simple, but triangles on the pitch today, all over the place. There was always an option for someone a lot more. Still not perfect. It's going to be a long process, but just little things like that you could already see just in his first game, which against, I know Bournemouth have been struggling a bit this season, but let's be honest, they're a decent team who've been in the Premier League for a long time now, and they've got some really good players. So it wasn't an easy first game for him, but I enjoyed seeing that a lot more today.
Fair enough. Right, Mike Hernandez has just smashed in the donation, and he says, just saw this tweet. Xhaka agents saying they have an agreement with Hertha Berlin, and they told the club and Arteta he wants to leave. Thoughts? We're gonna ask that later on in the question sections, Mike. Okay. Hope you don't mind, pal, but I'm going to stick on the game at the moment. Kris, I thought Torreira and Xhaka were very solid today. Okay. Yeah, a couple of mistakes here and there, but I thought actually you saw AMN and Saka in our own half, some nice little interplay with people. Yeah, we'll come on to the goal we conceded in a second, but you could see the sort of shoots of growth with them coming along quite nicely, can you?
Yeah. I mean, Ainsley Maitland-Niles obviously wants to be a midfielder. We all know that, but he's got a long way to go in terms of positional discipline, and I think I'm not 100% sure he's got the physicality for that role just yet. It will come, and he's doing his apprenticeship almost in that wide fullback position, which isn't a bad thing. The Xhaka and Torreira axis, if you will, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's probably the best we've got at the moment. I personally would still prefer to see more energy in that my sort of thoughts on Xhaka. We'll come back to that maybe with a question later on. But I think there's room for that area of the pitch to be improved upon, whether that be in January or longer term. But you can only work with what you've got in place at the moment, and those two are the most experienced we've got. I think Torreira really needs to play, because if he doesn't, we're at risk of losing him. If not in January, in the summer. And at this stage, he's one of the ones I wouldn't really want to lose. And then with Xhaka, it's I think we just take it game by game with him, really. As I say, we'll touch on the question later on. But while he's still here, then he's one of our better midfielders. You've got to use him. And certainly in an away game like today, where when you're playing Ozil and Aubameyang and Lacazette, you need somebody who's going to just sit in front of that back four or in that midfield area and do that job. So, longer term, is Maitland-Niles able to do that or not? I'm not sure personally, but there was some good signs from him today, and I thought Saka coming into sort of midfield a few times as well from that left full back area just to distribute the ball into the channels was good. So, the midfield is an area that I still worry about, and some links that have come out today about January moves intrigue me. So it'd be interesting to see if Mikel gets what he's apparently said he's after in the January window.
I've got to be honest. I think our midfield has taken a hell of a smashing from last season, if you know what I mean. It's nowhere near a patch, and it's because we've lost a player who created and got back and was the link between the midfield, defence and attack. How we thought it was appropriate to let that guy go, I have no idea, but it's created a void and we've not filled that. And it's going to try players in there. I think AMN's worth a go personally, okay? But that's a personal perspective, and I get the alternative perspective on it, because let's be honest. There are all sorts of opinions on all of our players at the moment, and only time's going to tell. Let's come to the goal. Start with you, please, John. We try to force it out of the back. Saka's played into a really difficult position and loses the ball.
Yeah,
this is no slight on Saka. He was on a hide into nothing with this. But of course, they turn over the ball very quickly, go down the inside line, and it was one cross. I thought Luiz, Torreira, and Sokratis were awful. I've got to be honest. I thought the three of them were shameful in the way they defended it, and Gosling makes no mistake. John, your opinion on that, please, mate.
Yeah, it was disappointing, because I thought we'd been playing quite well, if not, creating clear chances, but we looked so much better. And it's just where we try to play out from the back, which I don't have a problem with. I know some people don't like that. They really don't enjoy it. I do think it is the right way for us to play, and it's something we have to persevere with and get better at. I would point to Pep's first season at Man City, where people ripped into shreds for doing that, and I know they came fourth in their first season. It's something you have to work on, and it takes a long time. But when it works, you open teams up, because they end up coming onto you so much that there's so much space into behind. And we saw it a couple of times where there was a nice pass through the midfield and Ozil's in loads of space, and he can turn instantly and release Alba or Lacazette. So I think it's the right way to play. But yeah, Saka gets played into real trouble. I think Torreira is too late to react to the run, and Sokratis doesn't particularly, cover himself in glory in his reaction to it either. It's disappointing. I'm sure Leno is annoyed yet again, because he made some really good saves in the game, and I thought his performance was excellent today. But I mean, I know we did concede the goal, obviously, but other than that, there wasn't too many other times where I felt we were massively exposed. Yes, they got in maybe down the sidelines and got behind us a few times, in particular with Josh King. I thought we gave Maitland-Niles a really tough time today. But I actually thought defensively, for the majority of the game, we looked a lot more solid than we have. But it shows you how it doesn't matter who you're playing in the Premier League. They can be one of the teams right at the bottom. If you give a team an opportunity, you can get punished for it. So, disappointing, and I'm sure Arteta will be going back through the video and explaining to the players what they should have done and where they should have been, because I thought for the majority of the game, any time where Bournemouth got an opportunity like that to break on us or, grab on a sloppy pass or something, we actually dealt with it quite well. But in this instance, unfortunately, we didn't. So annoying, but probably good for Arteta because he got to see the way the players would respond to it, going 1-0 down.
Absolutely. Julian Nagelsmann, a.k.a. Arian Hidari, is smashed in with a donation. And he says, Mr. Carpenter, I have two questions. One, what has happened to Laka? And would you take Camavinga at the carpet? We'll answer those later, okay? Arian, thanks for the donation, mate. Much appreciated, as always, you're a star. Kris, what was your view on the goal? We turned the ball over deep in our own half, and we were always in trouble, weren't we?
Yeah, the weird thing is the goal that Bournemouth scored was almost the worst thing that could happen, because we genuinely, I thought, like John said, yeah, they had a few sort of moments where they looked, I wouldn't even say dangerous. They got in through our own mistakes and through our own neglect of following runners. But I felt like they were there for the taking. I felt like if we'd got in front, they looked like a side who were playing on the edge. And I think the commentator actually said halfway through the game, if you gave Bournemouth a point now, maybe they'd settle for that. And I felt like they probably would. And it is sort of slightly frustrating that we didn't take the lead, because I wonder how that game would have gone if we had have done. I mean, yeah, we might have gone on and lost 2-1, but I felt like we deserved a bit more from that first half performance, and to go behind, the spirit we showed was good, definitely. The goal was well taken, but I just felt that we probably deserved more when we were on top, and if we'd have got that first goal, it would have been interesting. And I suppose in the grander scheme of things as well, you see sort of Chelsea lose at home to Southampton. Man United still got to play, of course, but you see some of the results around us and you think, missed opportunity maybe. And given what we've got to play the next two games, I mean, probably playing Chelsea now is probably a good thing because their form is very strange at the moment. Man United, you never know what you're going to get. But it was just one of those games where I just felt like when we were having conceded, when we equalised, I thought there was only one winner in the game. And having at 0-0, I thought we probably could have gone on to get the win. But it is classic Arsenal, isn't it, to go behind? And as I've said for a long time now, if you're a betting man, always get on both teams to score and we play, because you're 99% sure it's going to come in. So
yeah, I was very disappointed again, because I thought Sokratis and Luiz had played well up to that point, and Torreira. And I thought they let themselves down in that line, letting the runner go, not put enough pressure on the crosser. It was fairly poor, and I'm sure Mikel will work on that to eradicate those mistakes, or to do his best to eradicate them. But that's the kind of first half, guys. Again, today we're talking mainly about the performance rather than individual incidents. Yes, there were lots of mistakes from Lacazette, Aubameyang, Nelson, but let's give him a break today. Normally at halftime, guys, we do the tappy business. I'm sorry, guys, like the last show, I ain't got it in me anymore. I really haven't got it in me. It's as much as I can do to podcast at the moment. So if you'd like to tap, crack on, but it just doesn't. It doesn't matter a damn today, unfortunately. Our thoughts are with Dave and his family, and that's it, to be honest with you. But always love you guys. You keep on supporting us, and we keep on appreciating it. So thank you ever so much.
I would just say, to back that up, if you don't want to tap, raise a glass to Mr. Willock and to Steve and to anyone, yourself, you might have lost this year. And think of those people and their family.
Actually, what I'm going to say is, this is a difficult time of year for a lot of people. Okay, we've had a year of it as a podcast. there's plenty of people out there who are going through far worse than us, okay? If you are in trouble, if you are feeling down, if you are, if you're not in a good place, get some help, guys. Talk to somebody, please. Okay? Once again, we come back to mental health or just general health issues. If you have a concern, if there's anything bothering you, talk to somebody. Talk to your friends. Talk to your doctor. Christ, if you've got nobody to talk to us. We are always here, and we are always willing to help. The ABW is a family of people, and you guys in the chat box, or you people listening on other platforms, you're as important as anybody else. Without you, this is nothing. So please take care of yourselves, okay? If something's bugging you, book that appointment with the doctor and go in and be brave, be honest. Just get it off your chest, because the sooner you understand you have the problem, the sooner you can get it sorted. Okay? Don't let it go too long. Don't let yourself, be in a position where you go down that road and all of a sudden it's too late. Please don't do that. Be brave. It's shit. We go through tough times, okay? But you are not alone. You're never alone. You've got us. And we will always be there for you. Again, it's not the best time of year, but please, guys, don't feel like you're on your own. Please don't, okay? Like Danny's put a message in there from the Samaritans, etc. But, if you got a lump, if there's something you're unsure of, get yourself to the doctors. Don't be ashamed of it. There's nothing to be ashamed of anymore. Okay? Please, please, please. Onwards to the second half, guys. Chris Carpenter, because I tell you what, I podded with Chris now. It's like 3 times on the trot, okay? And it's happy days again. And it's good to have you back, Chris.
Thank you. You'll regret that in about 2 weeks, I promise.
I couldn't give a monkey's, mate. I'll always be
You'll regret it in about 10 minutes when you finish your answer to whatever he's going to ask.
Hey, boys, this is what's the best thing about ABW, okay? There's a load of different opinions out there. And my God, they're all welcome. As long as we're not abusing each other. Only I'm allowed to abuse people. That's the way it is. But Chris, you get Aubameyang firing wide. You get Lerma then grabbing Aubameyang around the neck, stopping the break. Now, we're going to come to John Welsh after you, okay? Because I need to go for a wee in a second. To me, that's a red card all day long. It's a red card. You can't grab him around the neck. If you'd have pulled the shirt, I got no problem with the yellow. But round the neck, talk to me.
I don't really understand the rules anymore. Is the honest answer to that one? Anybody that saw Super Deli Ali flying into challenges earlier on, not even punished by VAR. I don't really get it. I think we're probably both in the same boat here, John. Aren't we? We say that VAR is, it does get the right results, but are the right results entertaining? I don't know where I sit on it. Obviously, if the decision goes your way, you say great, but it's just one of those situations where I don't understand if it gets referred or if somebody's watching the whole game. I don't understand why those sort of decisions are not pulled up. And I can see the merits to say, yeah, it's just it's a yellow and a warning, but like you say, around the neck in that position, I don't know. Where do you sit on the VAR thing? Because it's dividing people.
It's difficult because, part of me is if you use VAR for what I would say are clear-cut decisions like offsides or something like that, or if the ball goes over the line, and they've got the Hawkeye technology now. But if it was used for those things, then I would say, this is fine and it's perfect because they're actually looking at something that's factual. It's not interpretation. The problem is that we've seen decisions in games where I'm like, well, the guy is either offside or he's not. There's no like, oh, well, he breathed, so the breath from his mouth meant that he was offside and that might have affected the ball. So I don't understand how you can get that thing wrong. No. I can sort of swallow the fact that someone in the VAR box or whatever the fuck it's called will look at it and go, well, my interpretations of the rules is that's just a professional foul. It's not dangerous. He's just put his arm up and that's why he's given a yellow. Some referees will look at that and say it's a red. The stupid thing with VAR is it doesn't really matter, because even if they do say, oh, it's a goal or it's not a goal or it's offside or that should have been a red or that should have been a yellow, the referee, it's up to him ultimately anyway. So it's up to the ref on the pitch. He can listen to whatever the guy says to him through the headset, but he can also completely ignore it and just make his own mind up. So yeah, I don't know. I think if an Arsenal player did that, I'd probably say yellow. Just because I'm just like, it's just, he's done a professional foul. He's just tried to make sure he goes down. But yeah, on the day, I don't know. I think red might have been harsh, but
it's around the neck, mate. It's around the neck.
Yeah, but it's not like he's grabbed him around the neck, is it? He's put his arm around to try and block it.
He's pulling back. I'm not being. You can't grab people if you raise your hands above the neck. It's a red card. So
I honestly don't know what the rules are anymore, because I've seen so many times this season people like put their hand up to a player's face, and it's not a punch or anything like that, but they've like pushed him and stuff, and they haven't given reds for it. I think in those situations is where the referee is trying to keep 11 players on the pitch and gone, it's not dangerous, he hasn't really hurt him. Aubameyang's obviously made the most of it as possible, that kind of thing. But I don't know, they just, those sort of things is where they need to, in the rules, make a clear thing of, regardless of the amount of force or the intent or anything else, if a player does this, then it is a red. Almost in the way they've done with the handball thing.
Yeah.
Which is stupid. Don't get me wrong. It's fucking retarded that they've, that if your arm's out wherever when you're jumping, because how the fuck you jump with your arms down by your side, I don't know. But at least they've been, look, this is the rule. That's how it's going to be. Doesn't matter what happens. It's a penalty. So I think sometimes those little weird rules, they have to make clarifications on. I don't think it was that bad. I would also say that Arsenal were today very guilty of cynical fouls, which I really enjoyed. Yeah. Xhaka a lot. Every time he was picking the ball up and walking away with it and delaying it. Whereas previously this season and last season, there was times where we'd give a free kick and our players would just stand there and do nothing. And that is definitely Arteta saying, if you've got to make the foul, like take the booking. Torreira did it, Xhaka did it a couple of times. I think Willock did one as well. Like, pick the ball up, delay them, whatever. You've got to be an arsehole, essentially, and do those sort of dirty things in games, because that's how you win games. Sometimes you need that. So I did like that aspect of it. So I think, we were as bad, but I don't think it was like a dangerous challenge. If anything, Cook was the real arsehole today for Bournemouth.
I've got to be honest with you. I'd have bitten that fucker's nose off. Okay. That challenge, we'll come to that in a bit. Kris, on to a nicer thing. I just put in our chat on WhatsApp. Lacazette struggling today, okay, or having a tough time, I think the words were. Lacazette on a tough time today. Me and OG were going through it, and I said, Nelson, Laka, and Alba all struggling, okay? And lo and behold, okay, a turnover ball, okay, Lacazette, Nelson fires off a shot, which is blocked. He comes to Aubameyang, and he buries it. I love that. The fact that happened. But I thought we deserved that little bit of luck. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, we did, yeah. And it was actually good play from Nelson to get the ball in. I didn't think he got as much credit as he probably should have done, because a lot of people said, he just scuffed it across the box. He looked for that pass. And Aubameyang probably found the corner that I least expected him to find. I thought he would have put it in the opposite side. But yeah, we did deserve that bit. I don't think either side could comfortably say tonight that they deserved to win the game. I thought we were better in the first half, and I thought, when Bournemouth took the lead, they were good for a period of time, and they defended quite well. So, a draw is probably about a fair result if you're going to go, with the word fair. But on the Lacazette thing as well, there's a lot of people a growing number of people that are starting to get on this whole bandwagon. He's the value, we should let him go. And players go through spells. He's had an injury affected period of time. People forget as well when he was injured in that first season. There was this mystery injury that a few of us knew he was going to have surgery on. Came back a different player, confidence. And it's difficult. I don't think Aubameyang's been anywhere near the player that we've seen in the start of the season in recent weeks either. And he, he's got the goals, but the thing that you will get if you play those two together is that relationship, and the goals will be spread amongst themselves. And with Lacazette, what you'll always get is work rate. And he keeps working. He makes his own luck, and he keeps working until he gets a break of the ball and gets something from that endeavour. And I felt like sort of winning that ball back for the goal in particular showed that. And yeah, I mean, every striker goes through these spells. For me, shouldn't be looking at who's the most sellable asset. Who can we get out? And a few people have described him as somebody put the other day and said that he's nowhere near as good as Giroud was. And I loved Olivier Giroud, but they're different types of players. Firstly, and secondly, you can't compare somebody who had like an 8-year-old career with us compared to somebody who's been there for 2.5, 3 years. So no, I think you persist. As I say, Lacazette came back into the team today. I'm glad he did. He's a confidence player, and he's a personality. He's quite outspoken if he's not performing well, or if he's not getting the game time. So you've got to back your players.
Yeah, look, I got to be honest. I was disappointed in his performance today, but he's having a tough time, and that happens to a lot of players. There's no point in you can't write somebody off for that. I thought Aubameyang was just as bad. I got to be honest there, but it happens. Payush, we will ask your question later, but pal, when we come to the question section at the end of the show, John, a little bit of luck with the goal, but we deserved it, didn't we?
Yeah, you just caught me typing. Sorry. Yes, no, we definitely did. We created some really good chances. Lacazette had a few.
Sorry, it's a Newcastle goal. My apologies.
We created some good chances. Lacazette had a few where he tried to turn in the box and he couldn't quite get his shot off. Aubameyang sort of half chances. Xhaka put some really good balls in that people didn't attack properly. So we were definitely worth a goal. And honestly, when we scored that, I thought we would go on to win the game. Yeah. I don't think you can take too much disappointment from not winning today, because it's not a free hit for Arteta, because nothing really is at the moment because of where we are in the league, and we do just need to get points and try and get as high up the table as we can. But it's a really good finish from Aubameyang. Yes, there was a bit of luck in the way the slight deflection came off it, but the initial move anyway was such nice football, and we'd seen it a couple of times, and you could just see it was like, it wasn't going to quite fall for Lacazette, who lays it off well, and maybe Ozil could have taken the shot on, but then he's like, no, there's a better pass there. And Nelson, was he shooting, was he passing? I'm not sure, but either way, it's fallen to Alba, who takes up the right position, and it's a really good finish because he finds the one spot, like Kris said. I didn't expect to put it in there. I thought he was going to go back across goal. So yeah, really happy with the goal. Happy that it had a lot of players involved. And the fact that it came from the way we were breaking down Bournemouth possession and then instantly trying to turn it forward into an attack, whereas previously this season we win the ball back and then just immediately pass it back to a centre-back rather than trying to be progressive and go forwards. And Jace, you've muted yourself.
Oh, balls. I thought somebody were a little bit negative and not looking for the forward pass, but that is a development issue that Arteta and the guys are going to have to work on themselves, because if people aren't going to be looking for that forward ball, they're going to find themselves on the bench. We saw Willock replacing Mesut Ozil, Mustafi replacing Sokratis, who went down injured, a bit of a head injury. I thought other than the goal, Sokratis had played quite well. Not that I thought Bournemouth offered a great deal going forward, but I thought there were a couple of really good defensive moments from him and Luiz, to be fair. Mm-hmm. Okay. The Mesut Ozil, I thought, was very good. I thought Mesut Ozil he wasn't excellent, but I thought he was very, very good today.
That was one of his best performances for a long time.
It was, wasn't it? And it was. And do you know what? The three of us have spoken about Meza this season, and we've all been frustrated, I think it's fair to say. And it was nice to see that performance from him. You had the commentators trying to make a big deal out of the Mustafi coming on for Sokratis. I thought that was utter nonsense. But I did think the referee was a fucking clown. Okay? And I mean a fucking clown, okay? There's a head injury, there's a guy down, and this goes for the officiating team. Nothing's done about it. Play carries on. Now, I don't know, maybe Sokratis is hamming it up, okay? I have no idea. I'm not going to, not take his word for it, because a head injury is a serious business. But then we get Pepe coming on, okay, for Nelson, and Pepe's first three moves were sensational. His attitude in going for the ball. He got wiped out twice already, and then Lewis Cook goes in on him. And somebody fucking talk to me, okay? Because yes, it's professional. Yes, it's from behind, okay? I don't think it's a red card. But the stall had been set out when he was allowed to be wiped out twice in the lead up to that. And that's where I've got the problem. When you're allowing players to wipe a player out because he's a threat and not dishing out a free kick even, let alone a card, and then you're going to give the green light to pricks like Cook. Okay, well, trust me, if he injures himself and breaks his leg tomorrow, I'm going to laugh at the guy. Because he could well have injured Pepe in that way.
Yeah.
I've got no sympathy anymore. Talk to me.
We've seen it for, even back to when Wenger was manager. For a long time, players not getting protection. Pep spoke about the same thing when he came into the league. He was saying he couldn't understand how his players were, they were getting sived down because of the way they want to play football, when it's very close and one touch, and you're going to take challenges. Klopp said it as well. I think it is, unfortunately, it's kind of that old English mentality of, it's a bit blood and thunder, and it's about the pace of the game, and it's supposed to be a physical league and everything, so you can allow those things to happen. I'm glad Pepe isn't injured. He looked like he was all right. He got up okay in the end, and he just, some of the stuff he did on the ball, his footwork is amazing, and his strength as well. There were some players just bouncing with him where I thought he had no right to keep standing up. His balance is amazing.
Do you know what got me? He won back the ball, okay, and I was looking at him thinking, you frustrate me. But I love you for that. And I keep on thinking Chris Carpenter saying, he's going to come good. He's going
Kris is the voice in the back of my head. Every time I'm like, he's going to do nothing. And then he does something, and I'm like, what? I've got to rewind it and look what he's done with his feet, or how he's stayed on his feet and someone's just fallen on the floor when they're trying to tackle him.
There's something you have to. There's something. Sorry to cut in. There's something you have to bear in mind with Pepe as well. Is that he is not. If you think back to when Arsenal needed a winger last, and we think back to when we had the days of Overmars, or to a lesser degree Pires, who was a very different type of winger, in that he would drift inside and out, and wasn't always about pace. With Pepe, to get the best out of him, you basically just have to say 6 dribbles out of 10 are going to do nothing, and he's going to lose the ball, and he's going to probably roll around, and he's probably going to shrug, and almost like with Mesut, but 2 or 3 out of those 10 are going to unlock a defence completely, and it's down to us whether we can finish. And you saw that a few times at the West Ham game is the prime example. Everyone knew when he got that ball exactly where he was going to go, exactly what he was going to do, and guess what? Nobody could stop him. And he is going to invite challenges, and in a weird way, much like the aforementioned Pires, that will help him. It will help his adjustment, and I actually think that's partly why he's being managed into the team. I think it's not his fault that he was so expensive a signing. And it's not his fault that he was almost rushed into a team that was overhyped at the start of the season. I think a few people maybe got a few ideas above their station about how good we might be. And as the confidence in the team suffered, the more, when the team's struggling for confidence, the more you just want sustainable, sensible, careful footballers. You don't always want the flair. When things are going great, chuck in all the flair players, and I think he suffered a bit as a result of that. So, he's one of those players that when you go to criticise him, you just have to sort of take one step back and go, okay, but he's trying to make something happen. And we've wanted a player who's unpredictable for a long time. We've got one now. You have to sort of keep that in mind, that he's not always going to do the simple thing. He's going to try something different. And when that comes off on a consistent basis, which it will, that's when you'll see the best of him.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I really enjoyed his cameo today. I thought, he
was on a mission, wasn't
he? He caused problems, didn't he? And it's not always going to come off, and that's fine. But as long as you're being potent, as long as you're doing something positive when you're on the ball, I'm happy. We see an awful. There was an awful shot by Willock. I got to be honest with you, boys. I don't want to spend too much time on this. I just want to end the game. A couple of points, but Willock really needs to do better. And exactly the same as Aubameyang and Lacazette. In all fairness, and Nelson and Saka in those positions, these guys all need to do better.
Yeah,
I think some shooting practice is needed this week.
I think it's a confidence thing as well. When a player's got confidence and the team has, you're going to be. There's more conviction in your shots. We saw Lacazette earlier in the game where he's running and he gets to the edge of the box, and rather than take a shot when he's got some space, he tries to lay it off for Nelson, who's struggling to keep up with him before he gets subbed. That's not a player not having the ability or the skill to do it. That's players who are going, I don't trust myself or back myself at the moment because they're not having a good time. And hopefully that's something that Arteta can, instill into them. But on the game overall, I thought it was very good. There's one thing we didn't highlight. I really liked when there was a slight switch in the system and Xhaka almost played at left back at times to release Xhaka.
We highlighted that.
And also another thing as well, Maitland-Niles was, and it's something you've seen at City, they did play quite a lot, that he didn't really play as a fullback for a lot of the game. He was almost playing as a right-sided centre mid to make an extra man in midfield at times, where he's clearly more comfortable, or at least he thinks himself as more comfortable as a player. Arteta was very clear about Saka and Nelson being as wide as possible, get chalk on your boots. And every time Xhaka got the ball, he was looking and going, right, I can switch it to Nelson because I know he's wide open, because they can't leave a man that far out because it stretches their defence too much.
I thought Xhaka let himself down, I think it's first half. Meza made a run down the right-hand side.
Yeah.
And Xhaka went left instead. And I really annoyed Xhaka at that point, but it was one of those. Kris, Lacazette on Harry Wilson. How is that a free kick, let alone a yellow card?
Not sure. It's one of those, isn't it? It can, when it goes for you, you sort of say, yeah. When it goes against you, it's just a coming together, wasn't it? It wasn't like anything.
This is my annoyance, Kris, okay? Pepe's gotten wiped out twice, bleeding for the Cook challenge, and yet Lacazette picks up a yellow.
Inconsistent. Yeah.
That's a bullshit. And then the Callum Wilson yellow and Leno, he should have been shot. That's all I got to say in the matter. He should have been shot. But there you go. That was the game, guys.
Can we also point out that despite the pissing rain, Mikel Arteta's hair was still absolutely perfect.
No, I refuse to go down the street.
And he's also got the because I was worried that we weren't going to hear this anymore. The laka. He's got that down to a T. So I'm glad that's back. All he needs to do now is good evening, and we've got it all sorted.
No.
No good evening.
You're not going on these tropes. You're not going on these tropes, okay? Before we go to questions, I want your thoughts on Arteta's first game. I'm going to come to you, Kris, first, then to John. For me, I saw definitive improvement. I think, we've still got players out of form and with confidence issues. I thought the structure looked good. I thought we were a little bit different in the way we used our fullbacks. We still had good width from them, but we covered them better than we have been doing recently. We saw a decent midfield partnership, but the guys up front, we should have won that 4-0 from 4-1 from my the way we had handled the ball, etc. With a bit of consistency in the way we play, I can see things improving. 5 to 10 games, I think we will really see the Arteta revolution starting. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I like we said on the show when he was announced. For me, you got to give it plenty of time. Certainly, when I say to the end of the season, I don't mean like make a decision. I'm saying you need to sort of see it through to the end of the season before you can really see what he's going to build in the summer. I do actually expect a bit of movement in January, which I wasn't 100% sure we would before. I actually now think the fact that he is openly in the media saying what he wants suggests to me that he's been told there is some form of movement there. And rightly so, because I think the board maybe have to look at this and think actually some of the players that are at our club right now either shouldn't be or could do with moving on. And it's not a knock at them directly. It's just some players do need to move on. It's just the way it is. I think it's hard to judge him on that squad today because both our first choice fullbacks were out. 2 defenders were either suspended or injured. And as I said, you still got things that he's going to work on. He's only been in place for less than a week. I think the next key thing is get a good atmosphere for the next home game, which I think is Chelsea next, isn't it? I think that's the home game. Be good to see a positive reaction from the supporters. He does communicate well. We've said on this show a number of times, you don't always need a manager to be hopping around on the touchline just shouting incoherent nonsense. But what you do need is a presence on the touchline who is giving clear instruction and guidance to the players. And that's something I did notice about Arteta today. He is very Pep in the way he's very visual on the touchline and very vocal on the touchline. I think our players need that. Not sure every team does, but I think our players need that. And I think, overall, you take the positives. There was a change in mentality today. I thought I'm not sure whether we would have lost the game earlier on in the season, but we certainly would have come closer to losing it than we did today. So, yeah, I think you have to give it time. You don't have to. You can do what you want, but for me, you should give it time. And let's see what identity continues on beyond these next few games. And like I say, the home game will be interesting because at home you're expected at this club to take the game to the opposition. We took the game to the opposition away from home today, and it will be interesting to see what we do in our next home game against quote unquote a better side.
Yeah, I was pleased today. It was enjoyable to watch the football again, which it hasn't been for a long time. I was excited when Freddie took over because it's Freddie Ljungberg, and obviously I love Freddie. I grew up in that era. But I'm really excited by Arteta, everything he said in press conferences. And I know it's very easy to sound and say the right things. It's just the way he said it and the confidence with the way he speaks. I thought the shape was generally better today. Yes, there's still going to be errors, but it's not going to be fixed in 2 training sessions. And I thought players' positioning was generally better today. There were adjustments within the game that he made where he switched some players and moved them about a little bit. And maybe some people didn't notice, but like Xhaka moving a little bit more to the left, Xhaka being released a bit, Maitland-Niles coming inside a lot more, those kind of things. He's clearly already got a lot of his messages over to the players. And it seems like they're all on board with it as well. The fact he got a tune out of Mesut Ozil today in his first game, don't get me wrong, we all know how good Ozil is, and he's one of those players who can turn it on and off. But if he can get Ozil singing, that's massive, because if you have Ozil playing at his best, and don't get me wrong, he wasn't at his best today, but he was a lot better than he has been, then you've got a chance to win any game. So, yeah, I'm really excited to see what he does going forward. He's got 2 tough games in a row now. Hopefully, Bellerin and a few others will be back and stuff. I know there was some stories about maybe Bellerin could have played today, but they were saving him. So it gives him a few more options. But yeah, I'm excited about the future. I think you kind of, as a fan, have to reassess and go, look, we're not a Champions League club, and we haven't been for a while, and we're not at that level at the moment. So, and like Kris said as well, I'm actually weirdly, for the first time in a long time, excited about January, because I do think we'll do and make some moves. So
I've got to be honest here, Kate. I look at this league, I don't think there are many Champions League clubs in this league. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's a lot of dross masquerade as Champions League potential clubs. Okay.
I think there's 3 teams at the moment who are clearly above us.
Yeah. That's fine. Okay. Yeah. But there's a 4th spot that's there to play for.
Oh yeah, of course.
Right? I look at January. I'm not particularly bothered if we bring anybody in or not. Okay. The big test is going to be the summer, and I think I look at what I've seen on the pitch today. I think that Mikel Arteta will get a lot more out of these players than Emery or Freddie has.
Yeah.
Okay. I think he's got a really good coaching team in place. I know the guy from the Welsh FA, Albert, or whatever his name is. He's very highly thought of.
Yeah, Steve Round as well, who I've watched some interviews with. He's been at all over the Premier League. He was at Man United as well. So he's worked with some of the best coaches in the world. A very intelligent guy when you hear him speak.
Yeah.
He's got the right people around him. So as long as the club back him, and I think realistically, I don't think he's. Arsblog and Gunnerblog said the same thing. I don't think Arteta would take the job unless he was told that they're going to back him.
But it's this side of it, okay? Let's get the right players. Let's not panic buy. Let's get the right players, okay? If you've got to wait till the summer, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah.
The right players in. The players that he thinks are going to make a difference, okay?
Yeah.
Because you can keep on slagging players off, but you've got too many players in our squad out of form who haven't impressed for it just to be the players' fault, if you know what I mean. And to be honest with you, look, guys, we've all got opinions, okay? But I think we're going to find that Mikel Arteta's opinions are very, very different to ours. Very, very different to ours.
Yeah.
So let's go to some questions. We're going to try to whip through these as quickly as possible. So, Kris, I'm going to start with you. What has Pepe done to be ignored, rejected by 3 managers stroke coaches in a row? Was he caught smoking crack in the shower? This doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense, no?
No, I mean, short answer to this one for a change, but I think we addressed it earlier on. I think, they've almost gone back to taking it slowly. I think he was rushed in at the start. He is a player that relies on confidence. There is a transition period from a different league, and he was in a Lille team that was built around him. He was the star man. He's now at a club where there are other players to fit in to those positions. He hasn't always played in like the free role that he had at Lille. That will take some time. As I said, I don't have any concerns at this stage. But people need to remember again, it's still less than 6 months since he arrived. I mean, it's not going to happen overnight. Some players do come in and make an immediate impact. Others take time. If we sat here in 18 months, maybe worry then,
The problem is August feels like 10 years away.
Yeah. It really does.
I will quickly say Gilberto did not look like a player I would be interested in playing at Arsenal Football Club when he first joined. And holy fuck was I wrong.
Yeah,
how much I like him now. So,
Perez and Henry, they took a lot of time. Dennis, took him 3 or 4 months to get his first goal. I mean, it takes time. And again, that price tag is not his fault. People keep saying, if we signed a player for 72 million, he should be. Yeah. That's not how it works.
It's those things. It's difficult, isn't it? And when you see him, when you see people like Pepe in their pomp, to be fair to him, he looks like a £72 million player.
Yeah.
When he's on it, he looks like it, and you just want somebody to allow him to flourish. Julian Salmon, because the do is right by here, so it looks like Julian Salmondo. Okay, but it's Julian Salmon asks, do you think Jack Grealish could do a job for us? We do need something in midfield at the moment.
I really like Grealish. I think he's a very good player. Is it the right sort of midfielder we need right now? I don't think so. Midfield is an area we need to fix, but it's more about having a number 6 or a number 8 than it is. Grealish isn't a 10 in the traditional sense, but he's not the right midfielder that we're looking to buy at the moment. If for some reason, I don't know, we did sell Ozil or he did leave and, he didn't want to collect his whatever ridiculous wage it is he's getting at Arsenal, then maybe he's someone you go for. Because I quite like him and I do think he's a really good player, but there's other areas of the team that need immediate addressing before that particular role. But yeah, if there was a position available within the squad and we had the money or whatever, then I would not be against it. I really like him. He's a scumbag as well, and I love a scumbag.
Yeah, we know, buddy. We know. Now we've said that we're going to buy him in January and he's going to turn us into Champions League winners. It's as simple as that, isn't it? I'm going to take the next one. Phil McHenry asks, do you think Arteta will look to work with the current squad or demand to ship some out and bring in the players he wants? Look, he'll have a list of players that he wants. I think there's no getting away from that. It may be 4 or 5. It may be 6 or 7. It may be 2 or 3. He'll have worked out with, Raul and company, the steps that they need to take to bring players in. But I really genuinely, like I said not so long ago, genuinely believe he can improve a lot of the players we've got at the moment. And I think we've got too many tin pot commentators kind of writing off too much talent at the moment. I genuinely think you're going to see a surprise in certain players leaving. It's going to be one of those where there's going to be a couple of surprise players going and a couple of you thought, yeah, the time's done. But, Mikel Arteta's going to have very different views to us. Mr. Carpenter, Junior Gunner asks, be honest, he says. With the way we are functioning in the final third, 25 goals scored this season, our worst goals for since 98. I don't see us picking up any points against Chelsea and United in the next games. What are your thoughts?
The opposite, to be honest with you.
This is why I love this.
Yeah, I mean, I get why. I get the question. I get why it's put that way. But weirdly, we seem to pick up our best form in these games. Under Arsene, we would struggle in those top 4, old-fashioned top 4 fixtures, quote unquote. We seem to raise our game now against those bigger sides. I would rather turn the question round and say, how good would it feel as a supporter to come out of those 2 games with 6 points? How much of a boost would that give us going into the new year with a win over Man United and Chelsea? Chelsea's at home, isn't it? And United's away. So, I think Chelsea are beatable. I don't really want to spend any more than this one sentence on this statement, but I've actually been quite impressed with what Lampard's done at Chelsea. I feel a bit dirty saying that, but I do think it's been slightly overhyped. He's given the youngsters a game. Well, that's because he had no choice, let's be honest. But I have been quite impressed with how they've played, and I think they are at times quite enjoyable to watch. Well, they certainly were on against Spurs anyway, but maybe that was the reason. Man United for me is still a shambles. I mean, they're 3-1 up against Newcastle, but I mean that is a bit like kicking a puppy, isn't it? So, if indeed that's third goal stands, I think we're waiting to see. But anyway, but yeah, I mean, that's how I would look at it. That's how I prefer to look at it. Imagine if we can get those 2 victories. And again, you can't judge on today alone, can you? And it depends who's going to be fit for it as well. If we can get Bellerin back, Chambers back, in the home game, potentially we could see Pepe start the game. Who knows? But yeah, I would much rather look at it and say, how good will it be if we do get 6 points, or even if we go unbeaten in those 2 games? But certainly 6 points would be amazing if we could win both.
Cool. John, Mike Hernandez, with the donation, he asks, just saw this tweet. Xhaka agents said they have an agreement with Hertha Berlin and they have told the club and Arteta he wants to leave. What are your thoughts? Now, you're a big Xhaka fanboy, and yeah, come on, talk to me.
Look, I have no problem with a player leaving the club as long as an appropriate replacement is brought in. I'm sad when it's a player I like. I was really disappointed when we let Ramsey go. One, because it was Ramsey, and I love Ramsey, but also because we never fucking replaced him.
I'm not being funny. That's all you could do is look at the results since.
But I had to get that one.
Well done, Raoul. You twat.
Look, if Xhaka really wants to go, and we can get what we feel is an appropriate fee for him, and we can get a replacement for midfield, because it is an area of the squad where, honestly, when I look at it, I do struggle to pick starting 3 or 2 and a 10 or whatever. Then that's fine. That do that. The difference is now that Arteta's come in, and Xhaka's feelings will be because of the way he reacted in that game and the way the fans reacted to him and everything. I'm hoping we've all moved past that point now. I would hope. Notice Mesut Ozil didn't get quite as much stick, by the way, for the way he kicked his gloves into the crowd. But there you go. Some people have their favourites.
Yeah, but let's be honest. I think the whole fucking nonsense of the pair of them has been over-egged by people.
Oh yeah, no, it has been massively. I think it's bollocks, but whatever. People have their opinion, But yeah, if we kind of come in and get a replacement for him, then fine. I don't have a problem with it. Arteta taking over might change his mind. He might see Arteta and speak to him and say, you know what, this guy's got confidence in me and faith in me, and I saw today when he adjusted my position slightly and let me play from those and let me play the passes I want to play, that kind of thing. Maybe he wants to stay. I would say that as much as a lot of the fans really hate him, there is a reason why Arsene Wenger, Unai Emery, Mikel Arteta all pick Granit Xhaka. I'm not a football manager. I'm not a football manager for a very good reason, because I don't really know that much about football. Those are 3 guys who, okay, not Arteta because he's only just started, but the other 2 are successful trophy-winning managers. Maybe it's the case that he's just our best centre midfielder and they didn't have a choice, or maybe it's the case that they actually think he's a very good footballer, who's intelligent and can play the ball really well, and we generally have a better tempo in our game and control the ball better. That's up to other people to decide. But if we get a good replacement, then yeah, that's fine. Players come and go, the club stays there forever. That's the only thing I care about.
Cool. Right, I'll answer the next question. David Keith, how many of the kids would you loan out in January? It would depend on who's coming in, to be honest with you, David. I don't think we can allow anybody to go out at the moment unless there's an incoming. I'd like to see Joe Willock out on loan. I think it would do him a world of good. Saka, I wouldn't mind going out on loan. And Reece Nelson at the moment. I think they could all do with a good loan, but I don't think as well. Smith Rowe's way off the pace. The amount of nonsense I've heard spoken about Smith Rowe is phenomenal. I'm sorry, the kid needs to play football in a men's league somewhere because his talent is undeniable. But you're asking the impossible of him to replace something like Mesut Ozil, or at this moment in time. So I think they all need a good loan. I really do. And I mean a good season. Not just 6 months, a good season out on loan. Life experiences, not just football experience. Let them grow. They're in this, this sort of pampered world of academies and coming through. They need a bit of life experience, but it will be dependent on who's coming in. And that's going to be massive. January's going to be really interesting. Really is. Chris Carpenter, Julian Nagelsmann, a.k.a. Aryan Hidari, asks, Monsieur Carpenter, he says, I have 2 questions for you. A, what has happened to Laka? And would you take a Camavinga? Is that right?
Yeah.
At the carpet. So go, Chris, go.
Well, we covered Laka already, so I feel we don't need to double up on that one. But thanks, Ariane, for that one. Camavinga is, for those who don't know, is a young holding midfield player who plays for Rennes at the moment. Is being lauded across France as the next big talent to come out of Liga, and there are many. Unfortunately, I think there are bigger, better clubs than us right now who will be in that market ahead. And we're talking Real Madrid level clubs here. So I think he probably will move on at the end of the season if his progress continues, but unfortunately, I think he might be a bridge too far for us. One of the exceptional young talents in Europe right now. Just to flesh out the question, just to touch on January, there's a lot of talk in Italy at the moment that Juventus are going to have a bit of a shifty, and there is talk that 3 of their 74 midfielders will be allowed to go on loan, and there is quite a lot of smoke without necessarily too much fire yet about Adrien Rabiot. I know we've been here before. We can all roll our eyes once again. I would have confidence that Mikel Arteta would get the best out of him. That's one thing I would say, because he's a very similar player to what Man City had in Rodri, in my opinion, and I think he would actually fit. And I would be quite happy to see Xhaka move on if that's what he wants, because I don't want anybody really here that doesn't want to be here. I think Mikel Arteta's comments today, I wouldn't read into that too much about him bigging the player up. He's just being a very sensible businessman. If you know you want to get a player out, the last thing you do is go to the press and say, yeah, he's awful, we take 10 quid for him. You're obviously going to big up the player. You're obviously going to say, well, we'd like to keep him. He's a quality player. Oh, Hertha Berlin, what's that? 20 million? Yeah, no problem. At this stage, I think that relationship has probably just got to the point where it would do the player and the club good to move on. Not sure Xhaka handled it the best way. I'm not sure the club handled it the best way. But that's life. Players move on. Mustafi's another one that maybe you could probably see moving on. And ironically, there's another player at Juventus that I wouldn't mind having a word with, which is Daniele Rugani. I'm sure John would be quite happy to see. But yeah, there is talent out there. I think we'll be in the loan market a little bit. But as for Camavinga, I think no, I can't see us. We certainly wouldn't be spending the sort of money that Ren would want on him in January. And at the end of the season, I think he'll probably command a fee of in excess of 40, maybe 50 million. Not sure we're shopping in that market right now. I think we're more in the loans / seasoned pros bin rather than the experience high quality, high profile players right now. So we shall see. But
I just want to make one point, okay? When you say Real Madrid are a big club, okay? Wales, golf, Madrid. Naturally. Fucking poverty club. One for all of us now. I'm going to start with you, John, then I want to come to Kris. And I just want, one-word answers to as we go through it, and then I'll finish off. John Bernstein asks, instead of rating players, give a score for the forwards, midfielder, defence, and goalkeeper. And he's gone 5, 7, 6, 8 for him. So, John, for the forwards.
6, being generous.
Kris?
Yeah, I'd probably say the same, to be fair. Yeah.
4. I'm right. 4. They fucked up too much today. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. For the midfield, John?
7.5.
Good twat. Kris?
7, yeah.
I agree with you. Kris, you are correct. Well done. Defence, John?
Yeah, 7.
Kris?
Same.
Yeah, I'll agree with you all there. Keeper?
10. Didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, same. Yeah, nothing wrong. Consistently our best player.
I hate not being able to argue with the pair of you. I hate it.
It's very strange that me and Kris ever agree on anything for a start, so that really
you know what, again, it's funny again. I was thinking about Dave yesterday, and I thought, you couldn't argue with Dave, okay? You couldn't press his buttons, okay? So even the amount of times I tried, I thought, oh, God, I miss him and I love him and thing. But he's not like Chris Carpenter. You can go in on Kris, you can press a couple of those nipples, and next thing, we're both winding each other up. And with John, it's the same, and it's like with good old Dave, he just let you carry on. Yeah, you go, I don't care. You crack on. So next question. John, for you, Junior Gunner asks, is the best we can hope for another year in Europa League, lads?
It's very tough to say. in terms of getting into the Champions League from a league position, it's still there. It's possible. It's going to be hard though, because we've left it so late to make the change, and it's not an easy fix, but it's a possibility. However, we are still in the Europa League, and I genuinely do think it's not going to be easy. It's going to be harder than it was last year, and I know we didn't do it last year, but I do think that is something Arteta could win. It's going to be made harder by the fact that teams like Inter and stuff have dropped into it. Mate, top of the league, mate. Top of the league.
They're playing very good, and it's a very Conte-esque
both
situation.
Inter fans, aren't we? You're both Inter fans, I forgot.
Yeah, Lord Karku up front is banging the goals in. It's amazing.
So why have they dropped down to Europa League, lads?
Oh, they were in the group of death, aren't they?
Yeah, they were in the group of death, and Conte and the Champions League are two things that don't go together.
And he wants the Scudetto. That's the only thing. So I think the chances of Inter playing a scratch side in the Europa.
He wants to teabag the fuck out of Juventus, basically.
Yeah, he does. and there's some good sides in the Europa League. We know Salzburg and no mugs. Unfortunately, as much as it pains me to say it, you wouldn't want to draw Man United, would you? There are some good sides still left in that have qualified through the group stages as it is. But yeah, I mean, our draw is winnable, definitely. Get through Olympiacos, you get through the next round. Suddenly, we should be one of the favourites for that. Let's be honest. And it just depends on. It really just depends on what sort of attitude we take, and depending on where the league form is, it would be my priority. If we're sat here in February and we're still anywhere but say we were in 8th but only 2 points off 4th, fine, you stick to the league and you do your best in Europa. If we're sat in 8th to 10th and we're 7 to 8 points off 4th, I'm prioritising that Europa League, because I think Champions League football,
just in terms of the money, is ridiculous.
Yeah. And the profile, and I'm not saying it's the be all and end all. If we have to spend another year out of it, so be it. But the boost around the club, the supporters, and the opportunity to build would be massive if we could get back in. Because let's be honest, we're underdogs for that now. We're massive outsiders. So
I think that suits us. I genuinely think that suits us. To be honest, I think if you think you're hiding to nothing, that's when these guys are going to perform. I genuinely do that.
We should have won that tournament last year as well. I stand by that. Other than the final, we were one of the best sides in it. And
I'm sorry. As soon as you lost Rambo, okay, the Valencia tie, Aubameyang and Lacazette dragged us through that. Their performances in those two games was sensational from the pair of them, okay, and that's the only reason we got to the final, was because of those two. The rest of the team just wasn't working. And that's the truth of the matter. We didn't win the midfield. Defensively, we weren't solid. We screwed the pooch, and unfortunately, Unai has to take the blame for that.
And momentum is such a huge thing. This is why I said it. This is why I was saying it's so important that we. Well, I say so important. What would be so important if we could get results against United and Chelsea? Because the springboard it gives the players going into the season. There's always that club that makes a run at the latter part of the season. And it only takes, look at Southampton at the moment. Yeah. It only takes 1 or 2 results, and you go into games going, actually, we don't need to fear anybody. We can win any game we go into. And if we can get back to that stage, the club name itself will. There's no fear factor for clubs coming to the Emirates at the moment. We need to get that back. And when teams start looking at us going, oh, actually, that Arsenal are a lot more organised now, they will start to come with game plans that are more. That are more possible for us to break down. We won't see clubs coming to us sort of with 10 behind the ball. We'll see clubs coming to us thinking, oh, we can play an expansive game. But if we get that fear factor back into us, we'll be able to punish those sides that take that chance. So at the moment, Brighton was the prime example of a team rocking up with absolutely no fear. They did the same to Spurs today. The difference is they couldn't sustain it because Spurs upped their game. We upped our game and they held us comfortably. So, pains me to say. But
I agree with you. I got to answer. On that, okay, question for all of us from David Keith. How many points do you say is minimum we need against United and Chelsea? John, you first.
Minimum. Honestly, at this point of the season, if you said to me we get 2 points out of it, I'd take it. Just because I do not expect Arteta to come in and just fucking fix everything instantly. I definitely saw improvements today, but if we got 4 points out of those 2 games, I'd be well happy. But I'd quite easily take 2.
I'd love 6, and I genuinely believe we can get 6. But like John, 4 for me is the bare minimum. I think you have to go into those games looking to win them, and if you can, I think that home game with Chelsea, I think we're getting Chelsea at a good time. I know they were brilliant against Spurs, but I think we're getting them at a good time. I think their squad's a bit stretched, and Man United away. I mean, you just don't know what United. You just don't know, do you? You know, 1 minute they look like a pub team, next minute you go, oh, actually. The one thing I would say with the Man United away game is you stop their counter-attacks, they haven't got anything. If you stop them countering you, you can get in behind them. If you give them space on the counter, which worries me a bit with us, they'll get at you. So if our game plan and our tactics are right, we could scoop something from Old Trafford. But I have a sneaking feeling we might beat Chelsea, and I hope so. So 4 points would be great. 6 points would be amazing.
Yeah, I've got to be honest here. I'm not scared of either of them. I prefer Chelsea away at the moment because their away form's awful. So their home form's awful. But we are where we are. I know this is going to sound silly, okay? And yes, it's Mr. Optimistic, but I expect 6 points. I don't think either team are that good. I really don't. I think they're crap, and I think we're due a turn. And I think that's the big thing, you know. It's another week of training with Mikel. It's that more development down the line, and I think that could be the spark that lights the rest of the season.
And the games come around thick and fast because we play Chelsea on Sunday, don't we? So that's literally 3 days away. So it's a good, you've got that opportunity to go straight back into another game. Mikel will have the players for 48 hours now, and I think the message will be positive.
I got to be honest. I think they look at this game. There's so many positives to look at. That we'll go into the Chelsea game with a bit of confidence. That'll be good. Kris, question for you from where the hell's that gone? Pete Coulson. Sorry. This is on to the Dirty Pirate. With our current limits, 2 players in and 2 players out in January. Name them.
Well, it will surprise everyone that I'll name 2 French players.
You shocked me.
Yeah, I know. I would at this stage where we are, I would take a go on Rabiot, particularly if it's a loan, because I was worried about signing him permanently because you don't know what you're going to get in terms of everything that comes with him, namely his mother and all that baggage. But the move to Juventus hasn't worked out. He is a quality footballer if you can get the best out of him, and I think a loan deal would be certainly something I'd pursue. And the other one, I mentioned it on the podcast the other day, but I'd have a word with PSG about Layvin Kurzawa. I think we need a left back pretty badly. Saka's done a great job. Fair play to the kid, but let's be honest, he's not a left back. Teams will target it. Tierney's out till I think I read it was April, but I don't think we'll see Tierney again this season. Those shoulder injuries you've got to have them absolutely right. And Kolasinac, we know, is not particularly a brilliant defender anyway. So I'm not saying Kurzawa is Roberto Carlos, but I think he would give us a bit of experience. And again, I think you'd get him on loan. So there's those 2. If you were talking, I mean, you could read a list off, but I think realistically they're the sort of players we've got to be looking at if it's loan deals. If we are going to spend some money, that opens the conversation a bit more. But if you're going to spend money, I could name you 100 players, but okay. I think realistically we've got to be looking at the loan market now.
I think it's a great answer, mate, to be fair. Payush Kapoor asks, I'll answer this one. Should AFC have hired Ancelotti for 2 to 3 years to stabilise the club, then bring Arteta in to take us forward? I like Arteta, but would have liked to have seen him manage a team successfully before joining AFC. I see the reasoning, Payush, I really do, but no, I've got to be honest with you. Arteta wasn't my first choice. It would have been Allegri all day long. It would have been an Nagelsmann all day long. It wouldn't have been Ancelotti. For this club at this moment in time, I think Arteta's a great hire. Okay, yeah, he's saying all the right stuff in the interviews and what have you. I'm not too bothered about what he's saying. What I do like is his self-belief, his utter confidence in what he wants to achieve and how he wants to drive this squad forward. Waiting another 2 to 3 years is not going to do us any good. We needed action, and we need it now. I'm no fan of Raul Sanllehi, as everybody knows, okay? But I think this could be a brilliant signing for us. I like his attitude. I think he's more driven. He's got something to prove. And I think, we always talk about, we need to stabilise, we need to consolidate. Bollocks. We need to build, and we need to build now, and we need to show some ambition. We need to show some ambition, and we need to stop talking this team down. We need to stop talking the club down. We need to go forward. And I think that's what Mikel Arteta will bring us. I see the reasoning behind it, but I really disagree with it simply because now is the time to be brave. Sport is all about ambition and being brave. It's not about, I don't want to take a chance here. You've got to be brave. It's what it's all about. And I'm so looking forward to the way, even if Mikel Arteta fails, and there's a chance he could, we know that, but at least it was a brave decision, and I like that. Chris Carpenter, one last one for you. Don One asks, question for Chris, can we get a quick update on the majestic Barbican Pirates, please? That one's done.
Yeah, you can get an update. There is no update. No, we're on there's no actual winter break this year, thank God. But we had I think it was 3 out of the 4 games called off before Christmas because this time of year the weather's crap. We are scheduled to play next Sunday, so not this Sunday, but next Sunday. We're doing all right. We've had 6 points taken off us, which is quite annoying because we only had 7 points, so we've now only got 1. No fault of our own. Team folded, and the wonderful league and the FA down here take it in their infinite wisdom that if a team drops out, the teams that played them already have points taken off them. So,
do you have a word?
Yeah, please. Yeah, that'd be good.
I'll go down the week now.
But we're doing all right. The older I'm getting, the harder it is to keep managing and doing what I'm doing. But hopefully, we'll keep going. And maybe I've got another couple of years in me. We'll see. But we'll see out the season, see where we end up. But yeah, we're back next Sunday, so hopefully we can pick up a few results here and there.
Come on, ye Pirates. It's a hell of a job he does with them guys, and I don't mind giving him a bit of stick, but you've got to take your hat off to the man. That's it for today. To everyone in the chat box, you've been interesting, you've been fantastic. If we haven't asked your question, we do apologise, but we've been going long enough now. We've been going an hour and a half, and we only wanted to go an hour tonight. But between Chris and John, they carpeted the shit out of everything. So
I thought we were quite succinct tonight, actually. I thought we were quite...
what? I wasn't looking forward to this one, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed chatting to you boys tonight. So all of you in the chat box, thank you ever so much for joining us. It's been it's been therapeutic, and we thank you ever so much for your support. You're always there for us, and we adore you for it. So those of you listening on any other platforms, thank you. I know we say it differently to you guys, but again, you keep on supporting us, you keep on listening to us. Come and join us in the chat box. You haven't subscribed to the YouTube challenge, you click on the bell icon and you'll be notified whenever we go live. To John and to Chris, I frigging love podding with you boys. I fucking adore the pair of you. So thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you.
No worries.
To you all, Merry Christmas. We will go live on New Year's Day. We haven't done the lineup yet. So Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you. Again, if you are feeling down, if there's anything you're worried about, speak to somebody, please. Okay? Don't be a martyr to the cause. Don't be silly. Be brave. Get a scene to talk to somebody. Please do that. Stefan Salvi just put in the box, there was only one Dave Faber. No, Stefan, you're wrong. There is only one Dave Faber. There's only one Goonerholic, okay? We lost our friend. We're gutted. We are heartbroken. We're devastated. He will leave a void that cannot be filled with us. But this will be felt by a lot more people than us. Dave has known, been following the Arsenal for 6 decades. Okay, when you're with him at the Tollington or any pub around Islington, he knows everyone. A lot of people will be absolutely heartbroken at this moment in time, and our hearts go to everyone. It's utterly shit, guys, and it's not fair that we get to lose our friend, and that goes for all Arsenal fans. But Dave Faber will be raising a glass to you, and we love you. Take care. Thank you. Good night. Keep it Arsenal, people. Keep on smiling and take care of yourselves. Cheers.